And we are recording. All right. I'll wait for some time, 3 minutes until we start. Hello everyone. How is everyone doing? Hope Monday is not rough on you. I definitely love Mondays. Mondays are some things which I look forward to throughout my entire weekend. Not because of workaholic nature, but more because my week starts where I plan out some stuff and I work through it. So it's very productive for me. Mondays through Wednesdays are productive. Thursdays gets tiring as hell, and then Friday is party time. So not really party time. I don't really party, but it's relaxing time. So spend time with the family and stuff. But I'm glad that it's working out well for you guys. If it is, if not, just let me know in the chat if it's not. But we'll get started here. Today's focus is module number 4 in module number 4 in OSCP syllabus. Here, I'll pull this up real quick. I was looking through it right here. Practical tools. Let me see if it's visible. Okay, there we go. Practical tools. Netcat, SOCAT, PowerShell, and Powercat. We're just gonna touch base on that. It's PowerShell and Powercat is too much of a learning curve to begin with, but it's helpful in so and so ways. I mean, it's not really that helpful unless you're doing total Windows exploitation. But Powercat will do the trick for you, but PowerShell is most of the time only if you're in Windows and you need to exploit Windows from the get-go. There's a lot of work in PowerShell, but Powercat is not that hard. It's the Windows equivalent for Netcat. Powercat. Say that 5 times. And then Wireshark, TCP Dump, and then we'll wrap up. I'm going to also show off some of the open source tools which I found on the interwebs that should be helpful to generate payloads, these one-liner payloads. Because I was trying to look up, what is that website? I forgot. Pentest Monkey. But Pentest Monkey doesn't start up. It wasn't starting up last night. Oh, it works. Okay. So yesterday I was checking it out and it didn't work properly. Anyways, Pentest Monkey has really cool stuff. This is where I did most of my reverse shell cheat sheet. Yeah. I remember I would go on this website in between my exams and and try to fish out for Bash. Perl was never used. I never used Perl. Python, PHP was, oh my god, I cannot believe how many times I used PHP reverse shell. Netcat, one-liners, never used Java. Xterm, never used that, never know what that is for. But yeah, these are Bash, Python, PHP, Netcat are one of the few famous ones. I know Golang is pretty famous in reverse shells, but it's so new, the programming language of Golang, that it's really difficult to adopt pretty quickly. But it's pretty easy from what I've seen. I read a lot of source code. From what I've seen, that it's pretty easy to learn up Golang and create some really cool exploit. It's very fast though. It's pretty cool. I got one viewer over here. Hey there, whoever you are, just send a hi in the chat. I'll send out to hi, what's up. Hope he or she replies back. But payload of all things, Pentest Monkey, High on Coffee was pretty famous. It's still pretty famous. But there's another tool which I want to show off. Hi there, Non for Mias3R. Hope you're doing great. Thank you for joining on this live stream for OSCP. What I was telling was I was going to go through some of the Netcat stuff and reverse shells. So I just wanted to show off this thing over here. Let me just pull it. Right, so I'm gonna do a light mode because I can't see nothing. Okay, so this is the reverse shell generator by Zero Day Exposed. This dude is pretty cool. If you just do its own website, it's its face in ones and zeros, which is pretty cool. I like it. I don't know what other repositories are in there or what other directories are in there, but I'm pretty sure if you do a dirbuster, you can definitely fish out what other repositories, directories are on his website. So the configuration is pretty straightforward. You just dump in the IP. This is my Raspberry Pi IP. I'm going to use that as a secondary Linux machine. I have Raspberry and OS installed on it. It's just Raspberry Pi 0W, which I got for $10 just for this live stream stuff. I set it up on the monitor right over there, and I can VNC into it, so, or I can SSH as well. So I'll show you guys both how to do that. But I use Raspberry Pi as a secondary machine to attack or send out reverse shell, things like that from. Because I don't want to spin up two virtual machines and then deal with the whole NAT configuration, and it sometimes doesn't work. So, whatever. This works best for me. Also, I use my Raspberry Pi for a payload generator, not payload, for a backdoor. I have that on my website here, cyber.com. It's a Git, yeah. So it's my website, a little bit of work. This is from Daniel Lowry from IT Pro TV. He did a fantastic work in creating a backdoor on Raspberry Pi through AWS. But his website was more for pros. So I had to do a lot of Google search on how to set things up, but I've broken it down to setting up the Raspberry Pi, then setting up your AWS system, literally step by step. Like, you cannot go wrong in this. And then what to do with the SSH key and login, stuff from here. And then a little bit of testing if it is working on port 443, which is HTTPS connection for you folks who don't know what that is. But then we did it for Ssl Encryption, which is a secure connection, so that the EDR endpoint detection systems or your firewalls do not detect what the hell is going on in between our communications if I deploy this Raspberry Pi into a server rack or into a company and then jack it up with Wi-Fi or Ethernet cable. I can communicate securely, and nobody would know what we're communicating. I'll show you how I did this in Wireshark module, which is coming up today's stream, on how unencrypted traffic can be easily viewed through Netcat. But if you use Ncat or SOCAT, it's fully encrypted through SSL, which we are going to create by ourselves. We're going to create an SSL certificate, and that is going to secure the entire communication line. It's super helpful, not in OSCP, because they don't really care if it is encrypted or not, because the end goal for OSCP is just to get the root flag, honestly, without using actual button push pen test work like you would have Metasploit module. Just try not to use Metasploit modules. You can use Metaprinter, but do not use Metasploit auto exploit, things like that, because they really don't like it. You can use it once, but apart from that, all the 4 machines you cannot use it. One is buffer overflow, but rest of the 4 machines you cannot use Metasploit except one, so you have 3 left. So decide whichever you want. Good chances that you don't have to use Metasploit. I never used Metasploit. To this day, I'm still iffy about using Metasploit because I never got trained into it. But if push comes to shove, I can definitely Google it, figure it out. But I'm really good at finding information manually and then exploiting manually, which is where most of the creativity comes in. You really don't want spoon feeding, which I don't encourage and I don't do. So that's what this stream is about. We're gonna just go ahead and do a lot of research on how to find your own stuff on Google and learn on basis of that. Because if I spoon feed you, good chances that you're gonna go up, look up walkthroughs and not use your own brain power, which you already have a lot, to master anything in your life. So And OSCP is going to be one of the biggest accomplishments some of you folks would have. And I don't want to take that away from you for just, making it easy on you guys. So consider me as a study buddy, but pretty harsh because I give a lot of homework, but I do also take the responsibility of training people. I have trained a few people who have passed their OSCP. I've never given them any of the lab machines or any of the exam machines because that's just ethics. But I've trained a few people in OSCP journeys and personally, and they have passed it in their first attempt. And then I come to think about why should I charge money when all this information is free. So I'm doing it for free, which is pretty fun and I like it. So coming back to our, I'm going to show this on Tshark as well as Wireshark on how encrypted and unencrypted traffic you can listen onto, and you can do that at your own home too. And then Raspberry Pi, you can just secure copy it, and then create a cron tab, cron job. Cron jobs are pretty simple. They are just automated work which happens on the time or the date or the month, year, whatever you define it as. So if you say that I want to update my Kali machine every 5 months, and you create a cron job for that, it's gonna do that every 5 months, regardless of what you do. So in order to stop it, you need to delete that cron job or just create oh, it's not the editor mode. Okay, yeah, just create a hashtag in front of it. That way it's gonna just comment it out. But cron jobs are pretty cool. That's what I did on my Raspberry Pi. So every 2 minutes, it's going to send a reverse shell with the Ssl encrypted key, which is kali.pem, to my Elastic EC2 instance, which is the AWS server, so that nobody can track us back. They can, but with AWS, most of the corporate networks, they think that it's their own shit. Just like, oh yeah, we have a bunch of software engineers based out of wherever, and they are using AWS systems to host our applications or our websites. So AWS traffic goes under the radar. You really need a pretty smart SOC analyst to figure out if that AWS traffic is a C2 environment, which is command and control environment, hosted by a hacker like me or you. So, but most of the SOC analysts are not that smart from what I've seen, but it's good to have a lot of eyes looking into this, but a lot of people don't look into it, and it's pretty hard if you have a lot of smart people just managing the entire network. So but yeah, this is one possibility. I have it on my website. I'm gonna keep updating this a little bit more and more with all these cool tricks. But moving on to our OSCP work, which is why you're here, not for any nefarious reasons. So but we should get started. Oh yeah, it's 4:10. Let me see if anyone has talked anything. Okay, cool. So nice. All right, refresh the chat. All right, let's get started. Practical tools. I am going to use notion.so for my notes, and I'll show you how I take notes. It's very helpful because this is just nonsense. Should not see that. Okay. Yeah, this is how I take notes. I created with empty icon, whatever, doesn't matter. And I just put it in as module number 4. Day 2 streaming. Okay. All right, so first topic is Netcat, and there are 4 modules within it. So I'm just gonna copy that. Hopefully this copy is fine. I hate copying from PDFs. It's just never works. Ah, wow. And the reason I want to show you how I actually take notes is because taking more notes is more helpful than taking no notes and thinking that you're super smart and you can pull this off. But when push comes to shove, you really cannot pull this off if you don't have proper notes. And this was time and time proven in my sessions whenever I'm teaching or training people in particular modules of OSCP, or if it is Security Plus, or if it is just regular pen testing work, bug bounties too. I do that a lot, but they don't take notes, they don't remember anything, and when they actually see something which is recognizable and was covered in our study sessions, they don't usually do anything, so they forget about it. Anyways, connecting to TCP and UDP port. So let me explain what Netcat is. Netcat is network connector. It basically what connects anything, any module, any OS, doesn't matter what it is, as long it has Netcat installed, which is except Windows. Everything else, and any NIX, which is Linux operating system, most likely has some sort of Netcat installed on a system. This is including OS X, which is your Mac OS, and also including Kali, obviously. Ubuntu, I think, has it as well. I'm not sure. OpenBDS has it as well. So these things actually have Netcat installed on the system. And hey there, B9C5_root, how is it going? So they have Netcat installed. Only thing which doesn't have is Windows. But I've not tried WSL with Netcat, most likely because I need to spin up a Windows machine, and I'm too lazy for that. But something you can try out. If it is Netcat installed in WSL, you can easily use WSL to connect back to your Linux machine, because WSL you can spin up a Linux instance which has its own containerized applications, which it doesn't mess with Windows. So it's pretty cool. Glad that Windows is doing something useful with their operating system and not being a dumpster fire, which is recently with their Exchange cyber attacks. Terrible. Anyways, Netcat can connect two computers or two operating systems together. You can transfer files. You can host a reverse shell, which is basically connecting to that machine and doing whatever you want based on the user privileges you got. Usually you get a lower privileged user, but sometimes you can privilege escalate it pretty easily if it has some kind of kernel exploit already in the wind. If it's a Linux machine, you have Dirty Cow. Pretty much every Linux machine was affected with that. I think they upgraded most of them, but some servers run old Linux machines because applications support that. That's why it works. And then you can get root user. You can transfer important documents from the victim's machine to yours pretty easily. Now with Netcat, like I told before, it's unencrypted. So if any smart SOC analyst is looking through it, through the traffic one fine day after lunch, and he or she decided that, oh yeah, let me just do some traffic analysis, and they see that there is a Netcat module connecting back to a different IP address outside the intranet, yeah, that's a red flag. That's such a big red flag that it's sirens blowing in the entire company, because someone is using Netcat to connect. But if you use the Ncat, which is a SSL encrypted traffic Netcat on steroids, you can easily bypass that SOC analyst and not get detected by the intrusion detection systems. Yeah. On top of that, if you use AWS systems, like if you have Kali instance spin up on an AWS EC2 system, you can use Kali from that EC2 to Ncat into your victim's machine, and then nobody would know. But that's a thought for another day. That's what connecting to a TCP and UDP port is. TCP ports are anything between, I don't know, it's 65,000 or something. All the TCP and UDP ports. Yeah, these are all TCP ports. TCP ports are Very important because they allow you to connect various services on through your various applications. So for example, HTTP, which is your web Apache 2 in your Linux, that's how you host a website. HTTP is using 880, port 80. When you do your Nmap scans, which we will do later on, I'll show you how to do it, you are going to see these ports open. Your ports is your primary way of entrance into a network. That's how everything works in the entire cybersecurity industry. Ports which are open and unmanned are the reasons why cyber attacks happen, because that's the most easiest way to get in. You can definitely set up honeypots to make sure that if any cyber attacks come in, honeypots is the first one which catches all the bees, all the flies and everything. And that's where all the IDS systems are detecting everything. So, but most companies don't do that because it's a lot of work to man the honeypot. So open ports, which are unmanned and unmonitorized, are the reasons why most of the companies hack into, but also are your beneficiaries because they can give you an idea of what ways to attack a network. So for example, you have pretty much every place has SSH involved in the machine. I'll tell you why SSH is good for OSCP or hack the box, anything basically, simulator wise. Second of all, you have SMTP and Telnet involved in a box or machine. Telnet is just SSH but without encryption. Think of it as Netcat, which is without encryption. So SSH is secure shell, which is extremely secure. It's pretty hard to crack an SSH. You probably will be wasting your time if you do that at your first instance. And then you have, this is for emails. Gmail uses that. Any email protocol uses that. Outlook uses that. Then what else is? DNS is 53. That's pretty famous in OSCP exams. 80 is HTTP, which I showed you. This is Tor, which you don't really need to know. Kerberos Authentication is Kerberos is pretty famous. I love Kerberos and how to attack them. There was a vulnerability where you could ask for a ticket in Kerberos, and Kerberos will assign you a ticket, and then you can use that ticket as like you would man in the middle attack, and then Kerberos would give you a ticket to use anything on the service. So I forgot what was that attack name. Hack authentication. Oh yeah, golden tickets. Yeah, that's what Kerberos gives. Exploit. That's what you want to type. Kerberos exploit. Yeah, check some validation. This was the shit which got Kerberos into deep troubles. Module exploits a vulnerability in Microsoft Kerberos implementation. The problem exists in the verification of the privilege attributed certificate from Kerberos TGS system, where a domain user may forge a pack with arbitrary privileges, including domain administrator. This module requests a TGT ticket with a forged pack and exploits into MIT Kerberos credential cache files. Pretty famous. There is a Metasploit module as well. I'm pretty sure there's a TryHackMe machine as well as on that, because TryHackMe really likes to do this. Anything which is in the wind, TryHackMe has a machine for it. So pretty helpful. Let me see what else is important. 443 is HTTPS network, which is secure shell. S stands for secure. Very common interview questions. I don't know why they ask, and I don't know why some people fail in that, but it should be pretty easy. Yeah, so these are all the TCP connections. There are UDP as well, which you need to look for in your Nmap scans. And I'm pretty sure once we reach that module, we should be able to cover that up. So connecting to a TCP port with Ncat is straightforward. I'll show you how. One second, let me minimize this. Okay, so Raspberry Pi is up and running. Okay, who am I? Okay, cool. I am root because I can see it. Oh, let me just set this up. Sorry, it just goes on. There we go. Left. Right. Oh, whatever. All right. So Netcat, how we go about finding each of our modules is you figure out what exactly are we looking for. So you just take this connecting to TCP. So you Google search. That's pretty dumb to do that, but I'm just doing it for showing. TCP Netcat. Okay. First link. Okay, so we know the syntax for Netcat. Basic syntax is Netcat. Options, it's fairly basic options. One option, NLVP, I use all the time. Port, host, and then port. Host is your IP address, and the port is this port which you want to open up. Now, keep in mind that you might not have, let's say, port 4444 open on your Raspberry Pi or whichever network you're using. But you want to connect and create a relay, which is a chat system, which we're going to do that right now. How do you do that? How do you go forward with it? So I know that the Netcat options host port is the way to do it. So I do Netcat minus NLVP. Oh, that's TAC NLVP, and then the port, the host is no, I want to do it on 4444. So it's listing on port 4444, which I can do any port, but for our example it's 4444. And NLVP stands for, let me see, Netcat options Linux. Okay, so this gives us a syntax. You can also do Netcat man. It's NC. Oh, help. My bad. And this will give you an entire list of things, but I want to show you how to Google search this so you can find more information rather than just the man page. A man is just manual page. So we did NLVP. Why did we do that? What does it stand for? Let's say N stand for no DNS. So in this case, do not resolve any hostname via DNS. Just in case if you put IP address, it doesn't resolve that and use up time. L stands for listening. You know that you want to create a listener. So there are two components in Netcat. One is a connector, one is a listener. Connector is from one machine, you connect to the other machine, but on a listener is where you get the reverse shell. Reverse shell allows you to use your Kali machine and then exploit the Kali machine. I'm going to show you how. L then V stands for verbose, I'm pretty sure that's standard, and then P stands for source port. That's our 4444. So now we know what does it stand for. So let me clear that out. Okay, so now that is done, I know that the next line is Netcat. I know my Raspberry Pi's IP address is 192.168.1.69, and then I hate when it does that. Autocomplete 4444. Because so what basically I'm doing is I'm connecting to this IP address via Netcat on port 4444. So let's see what happens. I got a connection from my Kali machine IP address. See that it tells you the IP address and the incoming port. But if I type hi, it shows up as hi, which is a chat relay. I can do who am I? Nothing shows up. It's just a plain chat. It's not exploiting anything. But if you do a Python TTL shell, which gives you an actual shell on your Kali machine, you can easily change all this, which I'm going to show you later. Not now. But that's how you do Netcat connection. It's plain and simple. This is the most dumbest and the most easiest way to do it is Netcat L for listener. 1, 2, 3, 4. It should be listening. Oh, it's sorry, I didn't do the V, so it's not word browsing anything. But if I do Netcat, yeah, it connects. V stands for word browse, so with word browse you can get a lot of information of what's going on, like listening to so and so port, blah blah blah, what IP address, one port, and then is it connected. But you can avoid all that if you're pretty much a hacking ninja, so which I'm not, so I don't avoid that. I need to know what's going on. So Netcat is done. How do you take commands on that? So you do code. Let me pull this up. 2 things. We have a listener. We have a connector. Our listener is the Raspberry Pi, and I am going to use the command which I showed you, netcat /lvp 4444. On the connector side, I'm going to do netcat Raspberry Pi IP address, which is 192.168.1.69 4444, the port specified. That gives us a simple chat relay. We can also do this as okay. So I covered 2 topics in one accidentally, but OSCP likes to elaborate their subject too much for explaining a lot, but I explained all that in just one topic. So connecting to TCP or UDP port, which is this, and then listening on the UDP port, which is through NLVP 4444. The reason why I'm emphasizing so much on Netcat is because that is the only way you can get a reverse shell. If you master this initial setup, you can find reverse shell in pretty much every single scenario in the exam. There were times where I did not know if I messed up a particular reverse shell, a PHP reverse shell, or a web shell. But whenever I read through the code, what is it exactly doing, I figured out that, oh yeah, my code is wrong, or my syntax is wrong. That is because I learned how to do Netcat before. So Netcat is pretty important. That's why they call it the Swiss Army knife of hackers. So listening on, we already covered that. How to transfer files with Netcat. This is something which you want to know because, for example, if you have, let's say you get a connection to a Linux system through your web portal, and on your Kali terminal you get reverse shell, and now you need to privilege escalate that Linux system. You don't know what to privilege escalate, so you use a script online. There is Linux privilege escalator, Linux privilege checker online. I'll show you how to Google search all that as well. You use those to transfer those through Netcat to the Linux system, and then you can run it, chmod that, and then give executable rights to execute on the Linux system as a local user. You can very well do that, but in order to transfer that, you cannot just copy paste it because you only have terminal access. They probably have Linux Netcat installed, but you don't know. So what do? There's a couple of ways to look into it. First way is to do a regular transfer. Second way is open up Python HTTP server, which basically opens up your port 80. anything in that directory where you started the Python HTTP server is accessible to whoever is accessing your network. So for example, on one side you have your Linux victim machine and you have your own Kali machine. On Kali machine you open up the HTTP Python server, and on the Linux machine you ask, hey, can I connect to your server and get this Linux privilege escalating file? The moment you hit enter, it transfers that file. That's a second way of doing it. I'm going to show you both the ways later on, but for now we're just going to learn how to transfer files from Netcat. Okay, let me close this up. Okay, great. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna hit. Netcat file transfer. Just gonna search that up. Use the most easiest site looking. There we go. I just need the command. I don't need to read all the nonsense. So netcat install IP address. Okay. So here it gives me a syntax how to transfer files on the same computer, one that will receive the file. Enter the command netcat Kerberos listen on port where you're hosting the file name. You see that? Netcat Kerberosly listen on this port where you are hosting. This is for where you're hosting the file. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do ls, which is nothing, which is shame. Desktop. Okay, I am in the root directory. Okay, cool. Let me touch test.sh. Okay, test.sh is just a file. Touch is used to create a file. If you want to edit that file, you go to nano test.sh. It will open up the editor. I'll show you how to do this pretty quick. Hi, this is a test file. Great. From RAS machine. This way we know it came from Raspberry Pi. It's nothing which I had it stored before. I'm going to go ahead and press Control X. As you can see in the bottom, it saves to modify the buffer, as well as then you press Y. Y for yes, and then you press enter to save it with the same name. I'm going to just check up on the chat here real quick. Okay, so we are good. Nobody said anything. Okay. Now if you want to check what is in the system, we do less and test.sh. Hi, this is a test file from Raspberry Pi machine. Press Q to exit. We know that this is the file we want to transfer to our Linux machine. But how do we do that? Well, you want to first host it on your network, which is through Netcat, on that port. Netcat only works through port. Through port, you can bind an application, you can bind a file, which anybody accessing that port will be transferred to. So I say netcat LLVP, which is don't resolve the DNS, listen Kerberosly, and on the port you do 4444. I think it's on root. I hope it is there. Okay, there we go. Test.sh. The way I got these, so I'll show you what wizardry I just did. If you don't know what that is, I did root. It will go to root directory. Then I do forward slash, and then I press tab 2 times. It lists all the files which are in that directory, so I don't have to go back, type ls, search for that file. Pretty nifty. Test.sh. If you press tab again, it's going to auto-complete it, and you want to do that to prove that the file exists and you're in the same correct directory. If it doesn't auto-complete, you're in the wrong place. And let's host it. So listening on port, don't ignore this, but the port is 4444. Now I need to connect to that system to retrieve that file. So let me go more into this. Okay, so it's pretty fairly simple. Netcat n, I'm guessing that is for getting that file. What does capital N stand for? Oh, it was no DNS. Okay, that's weird. I'm just gonna ignore that. 1.69.4444. Oh, I want to do this. I forgot. I want to definitely do Kerberos to show what exactly happened. Okay, so what basically this command does is netcat Kerberosly show me all the things which is happening on the port when I connect to the port 69, on the IP address 69 and the port 44, and push all that to a file named testkali.sh. Yeah. The cool part about Netcat is that if an incoming file has a weird name, like exploit.sh, which gets flagged by various systems, you can, whenever you bring that transferred file, you can change the name to anything else which you want. So hope it works. No such file in the directory. Let's see why it's not working. Which one? This one? Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm actually... Oh, okay. My bad. Okay, you were right. Because whenever you're listening, I think you are transferring the file, right? Or you are accepting the file. Let me see. Different... Oh yeah, my bad. Let me do testing.sh. That's just a file I created. Okay, that's where it's sent. Okay, and now I do ls. Less. Yeah, so my bad. Small glitch in my matrix here. What I'm trying to send is this testing.sh file from my Kali machine to the Raspberry Pi. To do that, Netcat Kerberosly send this file to this port which is listening to, but the less than sign is meaning that you're hosting it on your file. You're sending it to this. The way I remembered it during my OSCP time was that wherever the pointy edge is, you're sending it to that address. That's how I remembered it. And wherever the pointing edge is over here in this command, it means that it's accepting it on this address, this directory and the file. I'm pretty sure that's what yeah, that's what non4 miss43r said. Yeah, he corrected me, or she corrected me. That's pretty cool. Thank you so much. But yes, wherever the pointy edge is, you are sending it to that. So the pointy edge is to this address, so we sent it, and then we accepted it over here, and it changed the name to test.sh, and that's what it was. So if you want to prove less testing.sh, Yes. Yeah, this is a test file, and if I do, this is a test file. So I got the same file again on both the machines. Okay, that's what it is. Redirection command from Linux means to give output and to there, and the less than means to take input from take input. Yeah, I think so. That's what it meant. The less than sign is to give output, take input. Yeah, no, dude, I did this way. So the greater than sign is to accept the input, and the less than sign is to give the output, if that makes sense. Maybe I'm just doing it crosswired, but yeah, I see what you meant, but we corrected it and it worked. So that's how you transfer the file. I'm just gonna copy paste this into our yeah, there we go. What we learned, something we learn every day. So from Kali machine, we want to transfer file into Netcat 192.168.1.69 port 44444 less than sign, and we do root desktop testing.sh. Listener, because that's what we created on the Raspberry Pi, a listener. And the command was pretty straightforward. Netcat NLVP, and then greater than sign, post it to root, or this can be any directory you want. I'm just putting it root desktop, and then mark it as test.sh, so that we can prove that you can change the name whenever you receive the file, which it's been done over here. Testing went to test. That's how you do file transfers. Thank you for correcting. That's what I want to make sure this live stream is about. It's about teaching opportunity and learning for me as well, to brush up on my skills. Good chances that I forgot most of these small things, but because I've been focusing on something else. But it's helpful for me as well as helpful for you. So I'm not going to be teaching this as a tutor and a teacher kind of situation, but more like a study buddy. That's what I want to aim for, because teaching is not what I'm good at, but I'm good at leading people into something. Definitely not a ditch, if that makes sense. But anyways, okay, where did we go? Okay, remote administration with Netcat. This is pretty fun because I don't know what that is straight off the bat by reading this, but I know for one fact that we did not cover bind shelling on Netcat. Bind shell, which is opposite to reverse, which is like different from reverse shell, opposite but different. Reverse shell allows you to connect to two different machines and then access two different machines from one system. So you can access the other machine from one system, and that's how bind shell works. Reverse shell works. Bind shell allows you to connect an application, file, or anything to that port. So whoever is connecting will be getting only that thing. For example, you can connect cmd.exe if you're on a Windows machine, or through Linux you can connect bin bash, bin sh. Those are both examples of terminals opening up, but don't know which user access, but that's regardless. Whoever accesses that port with that bin sh, with bind shelling, will only get the application which has been attached to. So that's pretty helpful whenever you are, whenever you want a persistent connection and you don't always want to go for like, hey, I want to go sniff around the entire system. You just want cmd.exe, or you want just bin bash. So that's why you just bind shell that. But I'm just going to go ahead and copy this, put this into our search machines. Let's see what happens, what comes out. I was going through this yesterday night, see what's up. Okay, someone made an actual thing what we are looking for, so helps us in our in our study session here. So remote administration with Netcat. Okay, that can take an executable file and redirect the standard input and standard output and error messages to TCP and UDP port rather than a default console. Very fancy words for saying that you can attach a file or an application and then it will do all the work for you. You just have to connect. Simple way of doing this on a Windows side is Netcat, NLVP, same thing, listener. E is for execution, if I'm not mistaken, and then execute cmd.exe. Whenever someone connects to this port, you execute cmd.exe. That's basically what it means. On the Linux port, Linux machine, you're going to type netcat nlvp 4444. This is what we already know, which is connecting to a system. Listening on a system. And then you execute bin bash, which is the command.exe equivalent for Windows or for Linux. So you need that for Linux because we only have Linux system today. On the client side, which is the connecting side, you are using Netcat NV, which is no DNS and Kerberos, to your IP address and the port. The moment you do that, you get the command.exe or you get bin bash. Most easiest way to do that is to test it out. So let me just do this. All right. I'm gonna sneak this real quick right here. Okay. Testing. So we want to make sure what do we want to get? We want to get the Raspberry Pi, which is on a organization network. We want to get that reverse shell from there. I'm going to create a listener on Raspberry Pi. Whoever connects to it gets it. So LVP 4444. You can also do bin bash or bin sh. Both are the same stuff. Okay. Oh yeah, they stopped using -e tac e in the Netcat version. We need to do Ncat, but then I won't be able to show you Wireshark module because I want to show unencrypted transfer of talk. Let's do without any. Let's see what happens. So I can do this with Ncat and it will work, but that defeats the purpose. See that? It will work with Ncat, but it's fully encrypted. I wanted to show our conversation in unencrypted format with Netcat. If you guys know how to do that with -e, just put it in the chat and I'll look into it and how to change that up. But so far Ncat is what works with -e because they removed that feature to execute a command. But nevertheless, it's just a tutorial. So yeah, on the network, on the connecting side, we just do Ncat NV 192.168.1.69, which is your usual connecting system. Once you do that, you connect it to, it gives you this, and you do hi, shows up bin bash not found. Yes. Okay, so from here I'm seeing whatever is on the Raspberry Pi network, but it's not giving me this kind of thing where it says root.kali. I want to see root at Raspberry Pi with a colon. So in order to do that, you do python tty, and we can avoid all this by the reverse shell generator. I'm going to show you that in a second, but I want to do the hard way first. Python tty shell upgrade. This thing helped me a lot in my OSCP because literally nothing was TTY. Yeah, you do this, you copy this, and then you go to your Linux machine, you paste it. Hopefully it pastes. Ugh. Hate when it does that. Come on, Kali, you don't need to isolate so much. Python.c, which is to import pty.spawn. In sh. Okay, hopefully this gives us a terminal type of thing. Yeah, it gives us a small hashtag, which is basically this in a small version. This basically what it is. So we can just put any command. So this helps us organize things as well as what we are seeing. It doesn't look like one entire command. Also, it helps you to write some commands which does not accept anything without TTY connection. For example, nano doesn't work properly, or VI doesn't work. I don't know which one, but they mess up really bad whenever you're not using TTY. Found that pretty useful. And you have test.sh, which was in our previous example used in our Raspberry Pi transfer. I'm just going to do less test.sh. Should give us this is a test file. So we transferred that earlier. So that's usually how you do a reverse shell with a TTY connection. Hope that helps. Remote admin, yeah. And I'm pretty sure he's going to do the same thing in the reverse shell. Yeah, that's what it is. This is your listening port, connecting port, and this is your listening port on any client side, server side. Yeah, that's basically reverse shell. So where was it? All right, remote administration with Netcat, find shell. Just to FYI, most of the time in pen test environment, bind shells are pretty rare because nobody wants to attach terminal to a port, because if your port is accessible outside the network, it's pretty hard to connect. It's pretty hard to protect that port, because anybody who has access to that port outside the network or inside as well, they have access to spawn command line, and that is basically keys to the kingdom in my sense. So nobody does that a lot, but it's still helpful whenever you are using printers. For example, you connect a printer to a port and you always want that port to be open for a printer. That's why. Helpful, not really useful. I'm just going to copy paste that, what I learned. Sorry about the doors. That's they're letting the dogs in and out. I have 2 dogs, so they've got to go out. Anyways, I'm gonna keep the format same as before, just in case I want to refer this in the future. I don't want to confuse myself too much. This one was Raspberry Pi. That's why I'm using this IP address to connect. Okay. Now what what is if you guys have any questions or anything, just send a message on this chat. It'll be really helpful, because I really don't want to do all the talking and then I miss out on some questions and it's just confusing to people. If you're confused anywhere, want me to cover something, just let me know. We can go ahead and move into our reverse shell. If nothing is there, then we can move on. So I found this reverse shell on Twitter the other day, and a lot of people seems to use this. This is basically Pentest Monkey on steroids. It just looks prettier and easy to use. Also, you get a lot of options. This was not in Pentest Monkey. All this was, but not really. Yeah, so it's helpful. We can create a bind shell. This is a bind shell. Just pretend that SH is here instead of here. This is just a connecting. This is Ncat bind shell, Ncat UDP connection, Perl reverse shell, Perl no SH, which is no command line, PHP Pentest Monkey. This was the favorite. You just change this, and magic, you just upload this to a PHP. You just save it as exploit.php, and then you upload this through web shell or any file uploading directory, which they usually have, and boom, you get a reverse shell whenever you execute the website, web page. PHP exec, this is executing shell. I don't know what this is, but I think that's one of those notations which always confuse me. I just copy pasted that, never used it. So PowerShell work, Python reverse shells. These were pretty cool. Python reverse shells are useful whenever this one pretty much was useful whenever you have an entire application written in Python, but most of the websites written in Python are not that, they're not written in Python. So any service which is written in Python is helpful to use Python exploit. SOCAT TTY, Node.js, and Telnet. Telnet is SSH but without encryption, like I told you. We can create a listener and then a reverse shell. We want to create a Netcat listener. We just copy this, we paste it here, listening to port, and then we want a Netcat reverse shell. So you do, which one do you want? Do you want a bash or bin sh? It's the same stuff, just different notation, whichever is the system accepts. Not a lot of systems accept bin sh, they accept bin bash, vice versa. So we'll do bin bash. Kali accepts everything. Hope it pastes. Oh man, I hate this. Anybody know how to change this Kali isolation? That would be helpful. Yep, got a connection received. Hi, it works. Now with the reverse shell, the best part is that reverse shell allows you to get a shell on the machine. We didn't create a chat system like this. It looks like a chat system, but we didn't. Reverse shell allows you to access that machine completely. So who am I? I'm root, because I am connected to a root user on Kali. Now I cannot do the same thing over here. Nothing will work because it's not connecting. This is the way. Listener is the connector. Listener is where you get the shell, because they're listening for the shell. And then if I do uname a, which shows me what the Debian version is, it's Kali Linux, but we are on Raspberry Pi, hence the reverse shell. Cut that out. But helpful. You should definitely use this on your exam. This is not a violation of your exam work. This is just Pentest Monkey on steroids. I'm pretty sure they'll be impressed by what you guys came up with. So that's all for reverse shell. Let me just go ahead and make a separate note. listener is this. Connector is your, and why do you copy that? Copy paste, done deal. That's your easy reverse shell generator. If you're wondering, as a pen tester, do you really need to know all this stuff in your memory? No. Humans were not really designed to remember stuff. They were designed to execute stuff. If you think about that, that's just a lesson which I learned the other day when I was listening to Joe Rogan podcast. I do listen to that a lot whenever I was working out. And there was this David Goggins, I think so, who said that humans were not meant to remember anything, because if you really remembered everything, you would remember every single part of your life, which is a lot of junk in your memory. Nobody likes that, not even computers like that. Computer likes to execute, we are the ones who execute it. So execution is what you need to remember, how to execute it, not how to remember it. That's why we have notes. That's why you take notes. That's why we have these websites like Reverse Shell Generator for people like us who don't want to remember what the syntax is. I don't want to remember. I just want to plug and play, because I want to really pen test. I don't really need to know the syntax. Syntax can be easily found in the man page, and you can easily view that out. You don't need to. So whoever tells you that you need to know the entire syntax, they don't know anything about it. Even software developers, they usually do Google search to find their syntax. If they knew all the work of software, there would be like 50 Facebooks or 50 Twitters, but nobody has the brain power to do that. So they use open source tools to connect, to copy paste all the stuff. So that's what you do. You use your brain power to just execute stuff, how to do an actual pen test, and become creative in pen testing. That's what your brain is used for, finding creativity. Remembering syntax is not what you meant for, and do not do that. It's just going to be a lot of notes which you're not going to use. So find tools like this, an online generator of any sorts. There is, I know that there is, for our future sessions of, forgot the name. There is this one box in OSCP, Buffer Overflow. Yeah, how can I forget that? Buffer Overflow. There is literally a code generator for buffer flow. There is a fuzzer generator. There is this checking the bad characters generator. I'll show you guys all this, how to do this. Probably I'll cover buffer overflow tomorrow, or we are doing day after tomorrow, so Wednesday I'll cover buffer overflow. It's gonna be the most easiest thing you have ever remembered, and it's pretty fun. Buffer overflow literally gets you going in your first box, and that's easy 25 points. I want to cover that first. So after today, we're just gonna go ahead and go to buffer overflow, but check a lot of resources, man. I mean, there are a lot of people who are pretty smart, and they created these tools for you to use, and it doesn't make you dumber. It makes you just smarter to use your resources. I would recommend to use it all the time. I use it all the time. I don't really do anything manually except thinking how the attacker would thinking how whenever I'm doing pen testing, I want to make sure how an attacker is thinking. And if I am the one attacking, I need to know how to find various ways to exploit the system and not be stuck to the usual norm. So if an hack the box machine is exploitable through one way, that's usually not the case. There are usually 2 ways or 3 ways to execute it. Most people don't do that way because they usually see a walkthrough and they go ahead with that method. But it's just math. You just come to the same answer different ways. Just makes you smarter. So moral of the story, just utilize your brain and your resources. Don't clog it up with unknown stuff which you don't really need. So I'll keep my notes minimalistic, just the commands which is required, and also I keep it in the same format so I can differentiate what exactly bind shell is and what exactly is the reverse shell. It just helps me. Cool. I'm just gonna end that module. So we finished Netcat. I want to do the same thing for Ncat, but it's Netcat just on SSL. That's basically Ncat. Commands are pretty much the same. You don't need to do any more research. All you have to do is come over here and then change this to, yeah, we'll put it as Ncat, NLVP, and then we'll do Netcat, Ncat on this, yeah. Sorry, it was before, it was over here before, but they changed it. Anyways, if you wanted me to execute that, I can do that as well. Okay, cool. We are in business. Connection received. Now the cool part is this is fully encrypted. Whatever I say, oh sorry, why do I always type hi? Whatever I type is fully encrypted, and I want to show you how it is fully encrypted by split terminal, by doing Wireshark. Wireshark is packet capture. So every single time you connect to a network, you're sending out packets, data enclosed in packets to a different network. If you're watching this live stream, there has been a huge amount of packets coming out from my laptop, my rig, to Twitch's rig, and then Twitch is streaming that through satellites through the ISP to your home or wherever you're watching it for this from. All this is done through packets. This seamless connection of video which you're seeing is through packets, not packet injection. But whenever these packets are in the air, they're invisible. But if you want to make it visible, you use some tool like Wireshark or TCP Dump or Tshark. These tools are designed to read those packets. And it's pretty easy on how to read it. It's not that hard. I'm going to show you how to read it. But once you read it, you will be hooked onto it as to see what else you can read in the whole world. I want to show you something real quick. I use this Alpha, it's a USB stick. It has a special chip in it which can monitor specific packets for packet injection. And I use this with Wireshark to detect if any network has been using up too much, like what websites or what unencrypted websites have been visited and what data is being stored over there or being transferred. This thing is just cost me $35, but gets the job done. Plug into any machine, and in I think in Wireshark there is a way to make a packet capture promiscuous. Damn it, where is that? Oh, somewhere. I gotta Google that. But that's a topic for another session. But it basically allows you to capture packets which other chipsets like your laptop, MacBook, or your any machine does not allow you to do it. So helpful, but really nefarious. Don't do that in public environment without permission, because it would really put you to prison. Anyways, let me close this. Oh, I don't want to close it. I want to go ahead and type net. Shoot, what was my IP address? Yeah, this was the IP address. This is the IP address for my Mac. For my Kali machine. 0 to 24 is a subnet. I don't know what my IP address is, and I don't want to know, so I'm just going to go ahead and scan the entire subnet. So that makes it easier to capture all traffic running on all networks from 0 to 24. And you just go this, double click on it. Okay, now we can chat with our systems. Oh, I was here. Great. So if I'm doing hi or who am I, pwd cd backs ls cd ls, what just happened? Oh, I get a follower. All right, so this is some commands which I ran, and I want to make sure that our packet capture is actually detecting that. It did a lot of TCP stuff. ARP, don't think too much. UDP, don't think too much, because we did not connect through UDP. We did only TCP. In order to filter this and get to know what exactly is talking, this is your usual run-of-the-mill SOC analyst thinking. Okay, I see a bunch of TCP connection. Our intranet traffic is 172, that's 229.8. That's our intranet traffic. But this is an external traffic coming in from 192. We don't remember this. Why is it coming in from here? Maybe I need to investigate it. There is a handshake, SYNAC handshake, which is done over here. You can see it. But if I just do, I think TCP, just TCP stream on port 4444, no. Yeah, port equals, so Wireshark completes all this for you. You don't really have to use too much brain power. So this will list all the 4444 traffic. How did I figure out it's 4444? I didn't. I saw it over here. I see that from this port, it's communicating to my Kali machine on this port. Then my Kali machine is talking back to this port, and this talk has been happening. I want to know what they're talking, because I am a big eavesdropper. So I'm just going to right click on this. I'm going to follow the TCP stream. If there was UDP stream or TLS stream, you will see it. But at this moment, it's TCP stream. And you can see all this gibberish, which is basically our talks. Hi, who am I, root, PWD. Every single person who talked on this is showing up. That is because we did this as Ncat. You see it over here. Ncat allows you to open all these communication channels and view it on the network. Anybody who is sniffing, you don't even need an alpha router to connect to this, alpha card to connect to this. This is just plain old your laptop's communication. So it's so unencrypted that anybody can see it. Most of the companies don't make their website in non-encrypted sessions unless there is payment gateway or login gateway. Login gateways are always encrypted. But you can save this as your PCAP file. Hopefully it saves it as a PCAP file, and then reanalyze it using TCP Dump. TCP Dump is just Wireshark for people who don't have Wireshark access on the network machine, but they can easily use TCP Dump, and then that's just a terminal way of using it. I recommend TCP Dump whenever there is, whenever you're on a client system and you don't have the ability to download and install Wireshark, because you only have a terminal access. There have been so many pen tests I've been doing, but they have been just giving me, hey, here's an SSH connection and private key. Why don't you go ahead and do a pen test inside the network? I said, all right, I can, but I don't have the actual system access. And that's what the key is. You don't really need an actual GUI to make use of things. You can use things like Tshark or TCP Dump to do all this kind of work on any system. It's literally that easy. And you can run it as binary, which basically means you don't need to install it. I think you just wget download it, and on any machine, I'm pretty sure wget is installed on Windows machine by default. If not, just copy paste that through Netcat, which I showed you, and then run that binary for TCP Dump. But this is what shows up whenever you are doing unencrypted traffic. Now let's just go ahead and do some encrypted traffic. I'm going to cut this off, X out of that. And whatever I'm going to keep this running. If I press this, it's going to just go ahead and stop the capture. And I'm just going to keep it running. And exit out of this, exit out of this. Let's go ahead and create a Ncat session just to show you guys what unencrypted traffic looks like. Where did it go? Where did it go? Yeah, I just want to do it through this way so it's much easier. Oh, cool. Okay. Ncat. Okay, this is creating a secure shell. Keep in mind the Ncat and Netcat are both the same, except one of them is SSL certified certificate access, so you can do encrypted traffic communications. But the syntax is pretty much the same. It's instead of NC, you type Ncat. Not that hard to remember. Then go ahead and hopefully, oh man, I hate this. Ncat. I'm just going to connect to 192.168.1.69. I'm going to remove all that just to make it easy. Okay, I got the connection from this place, which is my Kali machine. Who am I? I am, it's just showing up regular, because we didn't do reverse shell. Reverse shell would be whenever I do a bin bash. I just want to make a communication as if two people were chatting with each other. Hi, shows up hi over there. Bye. Okay, we did all this. We did 3 talks, 3 back-to-back communications. Let me just go ahead and do a TCP stream follow. Hopefully, oh man, I gotta do it again. Oh no. It was on, not on TCP stream, it was on, it would be on HTTPS. Hopefully. Yeah. Wait a minute. Start one more time without saving. Okay. Cool. All right. Hopefully this doesn't show up, but it will show up because it's still showing up over here. But let me check. Yeah, it's still showing up. That means it's not encrypted. Let me do it with SSL. If I change this to, let me Google it, Ncat Ssl reverse shell. Encrypting, okay, that's how it is. Ncat L for listen on port 444, oh, 1234. Use SSL, and I'm just gonna save attack and then do LV. Cool. So it generated a temporary RSA certificate, which it's gonna use to communicate with that. Now there's a problem with this situation because if your system is compromised, that SSL key is easily accessed by a rogue actor, and that way they can do a man-in-the-middle attack to view using Wireshark once they have your SSL certificate. I'm going to show you another trick on how to generate your own SSL certificate, transfer it using Netcat to a different machine, and then use that SSL certificate to communicate with each other. It's like same house, but there are two keys, and same key but a duplicate key, and you and your friend have the key. Whoever is accessing it will not have it, just except you and your friend. So only two people can get in the house. But if you have a common key, you go to Walmart or anywhere, Costco, and then you just get that key, and this key will unlock 50 doors in this neighborhood. Then everybody has access to that. That's basically this is. Sort of like an easy way to understand. Okay, the reverse shell to generate is just use tag SSL, and then rest of them was the same. Hopefully this works. Oh, why? Oh, sorry, it was 1 2 3 4. My bad. Noise. So basically we just connected, but this time it's SSL encrypted. So if I do hi, oh, who am I, root, pwd, ifconfig, yada yada yada, you get it. Follow the SSL stream, TLS stream, packet data coming in. You see that? There's a TLS. I'm just gonna go ahead and do TCP if it shows up on port. Okay. I think it's okay. Yeah, it's the same port. The reason why it's the same port, which you show up over here, not the port, but it's because TLS is encrypted over here and it's showing up whenever there is a communication source coming from the Raspberry Pi, which is 192, coming to the Mac, my Kali machine, it's TLS encrypted. But whenever there is a thing going out from Kali machine to Raspberry Pi, is TCP, and then it's all TLS encrypted stuff coming in. All I have to do is just try to follow. You see that TLS encrypted stuff, which nothing comes up. Follow the TCP stream, and it's, like I said, gibberish. That is what the benefit of encrypting stuff is. That's why people say to use VPN connection, encrypt it using private key for SSH, or if you have blockchains. I've seen people, artists who are who create beautiful artistry, paintings and stuff. They are recently using blockchain to encrypt the identity, so that whoever is the buyer had to decrypt the blockchain, and then the identity is revealed. So for example, if it's Jackson Pollock, which is my favorite paintings, if Jackson Pollock's whoever owns it creates a blockchain and sells it to this artist gallery, and sells it for like a couple of $1 million, the person who buys that, if that person has any IT person associated with it, they will usually verify the identity or the authenticity of that painting using blockchain and decryption. It's very secure. It's super secure. That's how you transfer bitcoins and stuff. Sure, Bitcoin is money. That's why it's much harder to use. You gotta use Tumblr and stuff. So, but blockchain is basically encryption. This is encryption. You need to encrypt your TLS traffic, your regular traffic. I also want to show you how do you get your own encryption. Hang on a second. All right, I got a sales email. Want to become famous? Nah, dude. I really don't want to become famous. Okay, I'm just pulling up the Netcat securing. Okay, so I have it over here. I didn't pause it. That's good. I'm gonna go ahead and pause that stuff. How do you create your own TLS certificate? So I have it over here. I'm just going to go ahead and copy it, paste it. Okay, that's it. Use OpenSSL required of new X509, which is just type of encryption, and key out the test key. Test.key is your key, and you create a certificate as well. You can combine both of these into a private key, which is PEM. All you have to do is cat test.key and space test.crt, and it will merge into a PEM private key, which you can use, so you don't have to transfer both of these together. And once that is done, once that is created, you gotta transfer it to a different machine, and it can be easily done. You know, we discussed this before, so I'm just gonna go ahead and check this out. All right, that is going to transfer the you keep the cert with you, but you transfer this. So you keep the key with you. You transfer the cert. Yep. And next time, whenever you are accessing it, you use this long ass command line. Netcat, NLVP, we already know this. 4444 SSL for encryption. SSL cert, you show which cert which you want to get, which is test.cert, which we already know. SSL key is test.key. On the connector side is Ncat, SSL verify, SSL dash trust file, that the CRT which I told you to transfer, and connect it to your Raspberry Pi using 4444 and then bin bash. This basically creates your own private TLS cert. You can, you know, customize it the with your heart's liking, which however you want it. But this allows you to have a duplicate key which you can give it to someone and they can communicate with you without anyone snooping in. So helps. Hope it helps. If you guys have any questions, you guys are pretty quiet. If nothing else, I can move forward. SOCAT file transfer. What's the? Oh wow, it's 133. So I covered Wireshark over here. Following TCP streams, we covered that. Display capture filters, we covered that. TCP dump is command line version of Wireshark. I can show you cheat sheet. I think so. This was it. Yeah, I was looking into this before. Okay. TCP dump, if you do -h, it will show you all these commands which you can find. Port 80, and then if you want multiple commands to be executed, you need to use the straight line, which I just usually forget what's the name of it, but you use that line, and then you can separate out two different commands. For example, like you have ls, and then you want to grep anything which starts with which ends with .sh. This is basically concatenation of two commands into one. so you don't have to type multiple things together. Helps whenever you're sorting out things. So that is what you need to keep in mind whenever you're doing TCP dump. Just keep this, print this out, keep it on your side, and you know, it helps. So I'm just gonna put this in our chat, little chat over here. Because nobody's talking, but okay, I'll put that in, and whoever wants to access it, please do that. Dude, yeah. All right, so we covered that part. SOCAT and Powercat. So let me see if I can pull up Powercat. This was new to me. I didn't see. It's a sports grill. Oh, sorry, it's Windows. If you understood Netcat with our session, I don't think so it's going to be hard for you to comprehend what Powercat is. It's just Windows equivalent for Netcat. That is only if you have like Windows, if you don't have access to transfer Netcat binaries to a Windows system, which I don't think so there should be any problem, but you can definitely transfer it. You can use Powercat, but still you need to install that application on your Windows machine. As a huge way of installation, which is super boring. But Powercat is basically a powerful way of using Netcat on Windows system. Basically it. Yeah, Netcat, the PowerShell version. It should be Powercat, the PowerShell version, but whatever. Basic commands, Powercat. Want to see what C means is connect to a listener, is this, and then -P is port 443. In our Netcat session, we did Netcat -L for listen and -C for connect. Your IP and your port 443. Your listener is -L and -L for listen, and then P for 8000 port. That's basically it. It's just literally this much for you to get connected quickly. File transfers is pretty easy as well. You use Powercat, connect to the IP address and the port 443 using the file on the C drive input file, whichever file it is. You don't have that greater than or less than sign like you use it on Netcat to transfer files. This is basically you just write down the directory and it will transfer the file. I'm just going to go ahead and copy this into my streaming Powercat. Great. That's my notes. And that should give me all the reverse shells, which you can see over there. File transfer, basic connections. This is too much, don't really need it, but it's helpful. Relays, which is your chat relays, which you can do. Generate payloads. This is new. Powercat generate payload on. Oh, okay. So I think it's basically doing bind shell. Yeah, bind shell and reverse shell. So that's what it is. And miscellaneous uses. It's too much information. Okay. But yeah, your reverse shell and bind shell is through this way. Just very helpful if you want to do Windows to Windows attacks and don't want to use Netcat. So Powercat is there. Powercat for the rescue. Let me close that up too. That was covered. We covered pretty much everything. I'm pretty impressed. 1 hour 39 minutes. Thank you guys, whoever is in the chat, viewing this. I see there are 2 people. I'm very grateful that there are 2 people, and that means that you have dedicated your time and listening to me and watching me doing stuff for 1 hour and 40 minutes. I'm really appreciative of you, and very grateful that you guys are doing this for learning. And whoa, how did that happen? Okay, great. I don't know why that happened. Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much. It really means great to me that there are people listening to this. I posted the previous video on YouTube, and there were I think like 17 views. None of them were mine, but I am so happy that at least one person is looking into this. That makes my day. That makes me happy that today's job was done, and that live stream was successful. So if you really want to come in next time, I am not going to cover bash scripting because I want to save that for later. I want to build up on jumping into our first box for OSCP. It's gonna be buffer overflow. I have an entire methodology on how to execute buffer overflow and get this running and executed and as a root shell within the first 2 hours. I'm going to dedicate that session 2 hours for just buffer overflow. We're going to cover every single part of it, and with that you will get enough confidence that you have 25 points in the bucket. I'm not going to discuss any of the OSCP ways or machines or how they have set up. That's for you to discover. I'm going to discuss what they have it on open source, everything open on the internet, how they have it, and we're going to go ahead and use some of our methodologies to execute that, because buffer overflow does not depend on any of the past learnings, which they build up on, like Nicto and Nmap and stuff like that. It's not related to that. It's a completely different beast, and you need to attack that in your first attempt. So I'm going to cover that, and then we're going to go ahead and look into active information gathering for one session, and vulnerability scanning through Nmap or automated scanning. I'm going to cover all that. Nessus only for part of it. You don't really need it, but I'll cover that as well. Nessus is pretty cool for pen test work outside of OSCP. Web attacks, I'll cover that as well. So all this would be 7 and 8 will be in one session. That is after buffer overflow. So by the end of this week, we should be, end of weekends for me and Sunday. So by Sunday, you should be good enough to do at least till Linux buffer overflow. That's basically what it is, what we're trying to attempt for. So module number 12, we should be fair enough to complete it. Client-side attacks, these things, I'm gonna keep it for the next week. But this week, we started from 0. We'll be completing module number 12. So 12 modules completed in 1 week. Next week, more 12. How many ever are there anyways? Oh yeah, so like more 12, and you're pretty much completing the entire OSCP. So like 2 weeks, and then I'm gonna jump into some hack the box machines, try hack me, some stuff. But we are going to do this explain like I'm 5-way. I'm not going to make sure to impose my knowledge, which I have gained through all these years, and then scare away the newcomers who want to build on these skills to get their OSCP. I really want to make sure that how I was explained through my methodologies, I want to explain it to you guys. So if I'm making mistakes or things like that, it's a learning opportunity for me. I want to just, use that Steve Jobs motto, stay hungry, stay foolish, right? So I'm going to act like nothing is there, and I want to learn from scratch. So you stay hungry for knowledge, you stay foolish, so you don't use your own self-confidence and overconfident yourself. And that's how people fail. So I'm going to use that for most of my streams, and I would very much like if you could join this. I'm going to put this on YouTube so people around the globe can see it as well. But from here, I am done. If you guys have anything to talk about, you're very welcome to do that. Small thing, I was trying to accomplish this. So a little bit about me, I'm more of a productivity magnet. I only attract things which are productive in my life. And this morning I was reading an article on somewhere online, and they're talking about decision fatigue. And I suffer from that as well. Decision fatigue involves you are going through like 50,000 decisions a day. Like, what do I wear? What perfume do I use? What deodorant I should be using? What car I should be driving? I got 2 cars. Which one I should be driving? Should I wear this for my hike? Should I wear those shoes? These are all small decisions which cluster up your brain and does not allow you to think creatively. So I've been thinking of making 4 decisions a day, 2 for my personal life and 2 for my family. And it could be anything. Like this morning, I wanted to run 4 miles. That was my personal goal. And I ran 4 miles before starting the stream. That's why I'm on sweatshirts. So 4 miles jog, and I ran that entire place up and down, and that was one of my decisions. Other one is walk my dog. So I'm going to do that after this. And the rest of are for my family. So 4 decisions, I finish my day and I take a good night's sleep. And next morning, I wipe the whiteboard clean and I start 4 more decisions. So tomorrow I have a couple of meetings coming up. I'm going to make one decision of attend the meetings without sleeping in. So I will do that, and the other 3 will be following up after that. So that's what I do, 4 decisions a day, and makes my life simple. So if you guys want to adapt that, just Google decision fatigue, and you'll see that decision making is such a hard thing to do, and sometimes it pays off, sometimes it just takes up all your brain. That's why you're tired, but it helps. So that's all the productivity tip from my side. I'm pretty sure I'll be covering more later on as well. But if you guys have nothing else, just thank you so much for coming in, for jumping on this 1 hour 50 minutes, almost 50 minutes of video, and I am so grateful that you guys are here learning something new. I'm learning something new, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much.